So one of the things I mentioned before was about it's a really tricky wood to mill, and it's a really tricky wood to stabilise. So in the guitar, for timber tone wood suitable for making guitars, needs to be dried to between sort of 6 and 8% moisture content, which is really quite low, and that enables us to make that wood extremely stable for building instruments. Camphor Laurel is tricky because it has a high oil content, so it sometimes registers on our pinless meters as having a little bit higher moisture content. And then of course leaving what we've learned over the last decade of cutting this stuff, drying this stuff, stabilising it, is a lot of variation happens from tree to tree. You'll get a variation of white trees with a little bit of brown striping, and yellow trees and red trees, and I've got some here which I'll reference through in a moment. All of the trees have slightly different oil content. Some of it we've found is better for guitars, some of it we've found is not so good. So some of the green trees stay a little bit furry. And I think one of the things as a guitar maker, and probably maybe for larger guitar companies, is most people probably would have abandoned this wood by now. It is difficult. It's taken us a lot of years. We're still learning. But if it's one thing I probably know about myself, and that's that I'd never run away from a challenge. I actually find the fact that it's challenging quite addictive, a little bit intoxicating. Here's one of the reds I was talking about before. So this is this beautiful, you can see like a back template there placed. There's actually some nice quilting in that, but it'll go from being sort of reddish to dark reds to sort of brown streaking. These are all, here's some white. It's got some beautiful fiddleback in there. And yeah, there's a huge variation in the colours. Something like this, sometimes my team are slightly challenging me about this colour. I find this colour not to my liking, but not every guitar needs to be brown or dark in colour. And much like people have a personal taste on things, we just find that Camphor Laurel's kind of got something for everybody. Look at that. Absolutely spectacular. With the colours, we find a variation in the mass, in the weight of it, and of most tone woods that we find that we have the greatest success with across all of our species are the ones that have a low mass. So, making sure that we're choosing the right blocks to cut at the right time. If you cut Camphor Laurel too early, the oil content gets really locked into the middle, and it becomes very, very difficult to stabilise and dry. You've got some personal, no, Stacey's not in the room at the moment, she's out. Look at that. So this would be pretty typical of the stuff that grows around northern New South Wales. This sort of yellows and browns, and we'll get some great guitars out of that. Who wouldn't want that on the back of their guitar? One of the other things that we've invested a lot of time with, and I launched, I think it's about 2 years ago now, was our VTH series, which I'll go through in more detail about where we use Camphor Laurel across all of our models, but could we use it as a soundboard? And that is a very set of different physics calculations that we had to enter into, and I spent a lot of time stress and testing those materials to make sure that it could put up with the rigours of having quite a bit of force applied to that guitar top with the string tension, but also getting the guitar to sound the certain way and to make it sound like a Fenech. So that was really, really important. Our guitars are pretty special, so we wanted to make sure that we maintained the sound and the heart and soul of our instruments.